We're opening a new business. What position should I hire first?
That is a great question. I want to defer to John on this because you have lived this for a long time.
So to handle the things that you need to do to start a business, which is an incredibly long checklist of information, right? Of items, of tasks. So you look at that list and you say, well, I can, on my expertise in this business, I might be able to do all these things here. But then I recognize that I'm deficient in a whole bunch of other areas. So I'm really, it's not a cut and dry answer because, depending on what I'm, as an accountant and a background in accounting, there's certain things that I'm best suited for. And then I look at that bigger picture, the bigger whole, and say, all right, well, I need help in these specific areas. In my own instance, not only were we building a business from the ground up and all the things that you have to do from the standard getting your business license and business plan together and financing and all that, but we were also managing a construction project. We were doing our own construction. So, and that was an area that I certainly didn't have any expertise in at all.
Sure.
That's why we had a motto early on that said we do it right because we do it twice. That was not anything you really wanted to be known for. But that's my point. But I fell back at first, like I said, with admin and operations because those are the things that you really have to nail, in my opinion, coming out of the gate. If you're not well set up with a good foundation early on, you're going to struggle later because of that. Right. So sometimes we call it doing the dishes or doing your laundry, just making sure your chores are done, kind of thing. So if you're well organized, it enables you to go and do all those things and execute the plan as best you possibly can.
Sure.
So,
yeah, I think you're exactly right on figuring out. Everyone has to have self-awareness, especially entrepreneurs, about what they're really good at and what they're not good at. And don't try to be good at what you're not good at. You need to find the right person.
It's funny that you said, because that's such a good word to use, as self-awareness, because we're all deluded a little bit anyway in terms of starting a business, and you have to have a little bit of a crazy gene in you to begin with. But to be able to look in the mirror and see and say to yourself, hey, I know I can do this, and I know I need help here, is really the first step. When you're thinking to the next step, which is who am I going to get to bring in here?
Right. And I'd say you're an anomaly because most folks that start a business, they don't necessarily have the accounting piece. So they almost always have to get someone to do their books, or else they try to do it themselves and it ends up being a mess. And then we come in and clean it up. But
you've seen that so many times, exactly.
Exactly. So, and then it's on the right track and like, oh, I didn't realize life could be so good.
Right.
But it's usually operations or business development is where people come from, and so you got to figure out.
Well, eventually I'm going to have sales. I'm going to have to bring in, I'm going to have to bring in revenue in order to start building and to survive. But like I said, you need to have the pieces in place before that so you can operate in an efficient manner and be as productive as possible and not, do what so many people are prone to do, which is scramble all day.